Have you ever felt like life is just like going so fast that you can barely catch your breath? Like you're just going from activity to activity and checking off task after task and just feeling like it's like never enough. Well, that's how I felt after a life-altering experience that caused me to end up in the OR. It was while I was laying in that hospital bed that I realized that I needed to make a change. I just didn't want my life just to be a rushing from one thing to the next. I really wanted to just enjoy it and just really enjoy my life. It's the only one we have. So after I got out of the hospital, that's when I started to explore slow living and what it really means to slow down and to live a more intentional life. So hey there, I'm Suan, and welcome to Cozy Notes, a space where we slow down, rediscover joy, and live a more intentional life. I'm so glad you're here. Why don't you grab a cuppa and let's dive in. So if you hear noise in the background, it's because my daughter is in here. She's on the bed right in front of me. And then I have my boys, they come and go, and then my dog as well. So this is not a podcast that's going to be perfect audio and nice and quiet. But I do have my little cozy spot here, which I really enjoy sitting at and recording this episode. Right now, I'm going to film my setup right here. So my friends on Instagram will know what this setup looks like. Okay, so I have notes here, and I just switched my productivity app. I used to use ClickUp, but now I am using Notion. I knew I would always love Notion, but I also knew that it's just, since it's so customizable, that I would really dive deep into it and spend a lot of time customizing it exactly so, only to be burnt out by the time it comes to actually use it. And so I decided this time to just get a template, and I'm so glad I did. There's a lot of really cute templates out there, and because it's like the new year, everything's on sale, and I got a really good deal for it. So I'm using my notes here on my phone so that we can have a wonderful talk, a wonderful chat about slow living. So I'm going to start off with what slow living isn't. And it's not about doing everything slowly. I think when people think of slow living, they think of people living in the English countryside, or they think of like homesteaders or something. I don't know what they're thinking, but they're thinking that people are just doing things really slowly, like they're a sloth or something. And slow living is not about living like a sloth. Slow living is not about dragging through tasks or moving at a snail's pace. It's also not about laziness or a lack of ambition. Some people think that slow living is like, oh, you're just kind of, you're exiting out of the hustle culture, which we are, but doesn't mean that we're going in the exact opposite. We're just not doing anything and we're not ambitious. I'm ambitious. I have a business. I have clients that I help out. I have, this YouTube channel that I'm trying to grow. I have my podcast that I'm launching. So I have ambitions, but I also live a slow-paced life. So, a nice, cozy life. It's, like I said, it's not about being lazy or having a lack of ambition. It's about making intentional choices, doing things with intention, which I feel like a lot of people don't do anymore. Instead, we just kind of go with the motion kind of a thing. We're just on autopilot and not really doing things with intention, with purpose. That is what slow living is all about. Like I said, we're not anti-productivity. I have a productivity app on my phone, on my computer, on my iPad. So I'm not anti-productivity. It's just like kind of a different type of productivity. It's like soft productivity, I think that is like a term people use nowadays, or it's more focused on depth over speed. This is a marathon that we're on. This is like long-term, sustainable business, sustainable life that we're aiming towards. And we want to make it healthy. We're looking at things holistically and not just, surface level here. Next, I'm going to talk about the core principles of slow living. And I've already mentioned it, the first one, which is intentionality. And that's just making mindful choices about where to spend your time, your energy, and your attention. Like if everything is important, nothing is important. So we've got to be intentional by our actions. We want to do things with intention. We want to do things with a purpose. And we don't want to just do things because that's the way everyone else does it, or that's the way society does it, or that's how I've always done it, or that's how my mom's done it, or what have you. Like, we want to be intentional with our actions and where we spend our time and our energy. Our time is very short on this earth. Some of us are here a little bit longer than others, but we need to be intentional about our time. We need to not live in survival mode. I mean, I understand there are people out there that have very challenging lives and are living in survival mode, but the most of us in first world countries are not. We're not having to live in survival mode where you don't have to, but we are. We don't have to live in survival mode, but we are. And that's something that we need to get out of. Yeah, spending your time, your energy, and your attention, being intentional about that. And the next is quality over quantity. So we're prioritizing experiences, relationships, and possessions that truly matter. And so I'm not saying that you need to be a minimalist or anything to be a slow living enthusiast, but the things that you have, you treasure, you use. They're not pointless. They're just not things that you gone on a shopping spree and you bought like a bunch of shoes and you only wear one. It's about being mindful about our consumption. It's about being mindful about our relationships. We don't need to be friend collectors, collecting all the friends so that we can have all these different connections. If you have a lot of friends, how many deep friendships do you really have? And I don't know about you, but I would rather have a deep connection with someone than a very superficial one. Yeah, I mean, yes, I have friends out there where our friendship isn't very deep, but I do have, a core group of women that I have a very deep connection with and that I just cherish so much. And then also prioritizing experiences. Not all experiences, all activities are important to do. Does your child really need to be involved in all the sports? Unless they want to, I guess, but do they really want to do that? Or do you want them to do that because you don't want them to have any white space in their lives? You want them to constantly be busy so they're not bored, but we want our kids to be bored, right? We want boredom. Isn't boredom important? Because boredom is where creativity flourishes. So yeah, prioritizing experience. Is everything that we do in life important to do? Probably not. So in my life, in my family, we prioritize travel. We love traveling and camping, hiking. We love visiting museums and national parks and state parks. We love fishing. We love off-roading. So just prioritizing the activities that you actually love to do and enjoy doing. And the next core principle is presence. Being present to the everyday moment, to right here and right now. Just being fully engaged in the moment instead of multitasking or rushing through it. And I mean, a lot of people are on their phones all the time. They're doing something and they're on their phone scrolling. You see it. I see it. I've done it. But when we do that, we're not present. We're not present at all. We're not fully engaged in the moment that we're spending with our families, or we're rushing through it. We're rushing through it so that we can tick it off of our to-do list. We did this. We saw this site. If you're traveling, I know a lot of people who travel and they want to see all the sites and they just are rushing from one site to the next so that they can check it off and they can have a packed schedule of done all the things. But are you really enjoying it? Is everyone in your family really enjoying it if you're just rushing through it all? Are you enjoying it? Are you taking it all in? Just taking things slow, just really, really being present and enjoying where you're at and really taking everything in. Using all 5 of your senses to really just take everything in. And the next is the balance between being and doing, the balance between productivity and rest, and embracing both as an essential part of your life. Yeah, we have lives. We have stuff that we need to do. We have to be productive. But at the same time, if you don't rest, you're not going to be very productive. So you need to have that balance between productivity and rest. You need to have that white space. You need to have those breaks. You need to have those vacations, etc. And I think in our society here in America, it's we have to be busy all the time. There's no time for rest. We're seen as lazy if we're taking vacations or, taking days off to go see our kids play or whatever. We have to be able to rest. so that we can be there fully for our families. And I know for me as a stay-at-home mom and as a small business owner, like I need to have time that's just for me, where my family is not involved. So like when my daughter goes to her horseback riding class, I go hiking. When my kids are in their art class, I take a long walk in the neighborhood. And it's rejuvenating for me to do that. And it's just something that we need to do. It's a form of rest. Rest doesn't have to be inactivity. Rest could be active. Active rest is a thing. And for me, that really clears my mind when I go walking or hiking. And then also just laying in bed and reading, or just sitting and enjoying my cup of tea, which is now cold, or sitting down and enjoying a nice cozy book, or watching a nice movie with my family. It's just, there's different types of rest. And in a future episode, I'll go in more detail about the different types of rest. So next, I kind of want to, I've already kind of touched upon it, but dispelling myths about slow living. So number one is that you have to live in the countryside in order to live a slower paced life. I don't live in the countryside. I live in the suburbs of LA, I guess. We're like a county over from LA, and the town I live in is like the largest city in our county. You can hear one of the main roads from here. We live near an airport. I hear that. This is not a quiet neighborhood that we live in. This is not the countryside, and we still live a slow pace. We still live a slow-paced life. Slow living isn't limited to small towns or rural areas. It can happen anywhere. It's a mindset. It's not where you live. It's a mindset. Myth number 2, slow living is just for people. It's a free time. I mean, I guess, yes, I have more free time than others, being an entrepreneur and a homeschool mom. Like I have more free time than others. I can make my schedule basically. And that is not a privilege most people can afford. But I've worked with clients that are, have very busy lives, and I've helped them take small intentional steps to slow down their lives, to give themselves more white space, to enjoy the small moments, to like really be present in life. And so you don't need a lot of free time to live a slower paced life. Like I said it before, it's a mindset. Slow living is a mindset. And then myth number 3, it's only about minimalism. I am not a minimalist. If you look at my house, I got a lot of stuff. There's a small house. We're a family of 5, and we got a lot of stuff here. And yeah, I would love it if we had less stuff, but I'm not going to go into my husband's garage or my kids' room and start throwing everything out because I want less stuff in my life. They're their own individuals. They can make those choices for themselves. So yes, minimalism can be a part of slow living, but it's not essential. So slow living is more about values and purpose than it is about minimalism. You can be a minimalist and not live a slow-paced life, right? You can be a maximalist and live a slow-paced life. It's just, like I said before, it's a mindset. Slow living is a mindset. It's about your values. It's about your purpose. It's about being intentional. And it's about truly knowing your capacity. So next is some practical ways to start living slowly. Number 1 is to simplify your schedule. It's about letting go of unnecessary commitments and creating more white space in your life. And I feel like a lot of us don't create buffer periods between activities and kind of pack them in. And then we're always like rushing from one thing to the next. And so if you do less, like I said before, if everything is important, then nothing is important. If everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. So you have to prioritize your life. You have to really think about what are your values and how can you align your life and your schedule to your values. I mean, yeah, there are things that you have to do. You can't get around paying your bills. You got to pay your bills. That's something you have to do. But I mean, other things, other activities, do you have to do it? Do your kids have to play the guitar and do Brazilian jiu-jitsu and take 3 art classes and do gymnastics and horseback riding? And do they need to do all those things? No, they don't. And they're not going to be missing in life if they don't. They're not going to be losing out and, not experiencing all the things if they don't do all the things. So simplify your schedule. Simplify your family schedule. Next is to be mindful with daily routines. Having like a morning ritual. Like a lot of people will say routines, but I kind of like the idea of rituals because there's something that you do that just helps start your day and makes you feel good. Yeah, I mean, there's some people out there that have like a 30-step morning routine, and that's like, okay, you must not have kids or something. I don't know. But for me, it's more like a 3-step routine or 3-step ritual, like in the mornings. I know some people out there that say you shouldn't have coffee first thing in the morning, but that's a ritual that I have. Like I love waking up, putting on my cozy slippers, going out to the kitchen, making a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, taking my vitamins, letting my dog outside and getting some sunshine. And then that ritual, it starts my day. And it's something that I really enjoy doing. So like having those rituals, or like, each of my days, I homeschool my kids. And so I do have to take them to different classes that they take. And it's kind of become a routine where I know each day what's going to happen and what I'm going to be doing. And for example, when my kids are at their art class, I get to go for a walk. Sometimes I'll go and have a tasty treat with my friend who's also there with her kids, and just finding the joy in the little things, just like the art of noticing. Like when you're on your walk and you notice the little details, you're not just on your walk with like your headphones in and just doing the walk because you got to get your steps in, but you're on the walk because you're enjoying being outdoors and watching the leaves, of the tree fall, or maybe they're growing back. You see like the little buds from the flowers growing, or, just enjoying like the little things while you're on your walk. Yeah, it's just really being present and being mindful. Another thing you can do is kind of disconnect from your technology. We all have dopamine addiction, especially like social media and stuff like that. It's just really addicting. I have to use social media for my business. And I will go onto Instagram, post my things, and then I have to delete the app, because if I don't delete the app, I will go back on it. I do have the app on like my iPad that I can access, but I don't really use my iPad. My phone is almost always on me. And so it's just very easy to pick it up and just to automatically open Instagram up. For what reason? I don't know. But yeah, disconnecting from technology is another really good step to do. I mean, you could do like a full-blown digital detox. I know that's popular this time of year. Or you can just be mindful of your consumption of your media use. And then instead of just kind of going cold turkey, it's like replacing your activity. So instead of grabbing your phone, you grab a book. Instead of turning on the TV, you open up your journal. Yeah, just being very mindful about your use of technology, because it's designed to be addicting. It's designed to keep us online. I mean, that's how they're making money with all those ads and stuff, especially if you go on Facebook nowadays. It's like, it's mainly ads. I hate Facebook. I try not to go on there, but I do have to sometimes, because I do volunteer for a nonprofit and I do their social media. So I have to go on there because they use the Facebook Office Manager Business Suite, whatever it's called, to schedule their posts. So I have to go on Instagram or Facebook. And then, like I said, Instagram, I have to go on because of my business. Yeah, it's too much. In a future episode, I'll talk about managing screen time and what you can do there. But, just embrace digital breaks. Like take a break on the weekends. Like maybe you need to be connected during the week, but do you need to really be that connected on the weekends? Probably not. Do you need to check your email on the weekends? Probably not. Did you know that I deleted my email from my phone and I can't even check my email from my phone? I got to go on my iPad or my laptop to check my email. So that has been a game changer, because I used to pick up my phone all the time to check my email, because I was one of those zero inbox people. And I just constantly had to make sure it was at zero. And I don't need to do that. It adds no benefit to my life. And then next is to focus on deep connections. So spend time with loved ones, like really spend time with them where you're not on your phone while you're spending time with them. Prioritize quality conversations, like actually have deep conversations, not just updates with your husband about what's going on in life, like what you're doing, the kids are doing, like have like real conversations with them. And then just cultivate meaningful relationships. Like it's really important, I think, especially us women as we get older, is to have those deep connections with other women. And, I'm lucky to have a core group of women that I've known for years that are my best friends, that we still connect all the time using Marco Polo. And then just having, like, I decided to return to hula. I used to dance hula. And so I decided to go back this year. And I'm kind of excited to do it. I really enjoyed the connection with the women there. And I also enjoyed being surrounded by women that kind of looked like me, which was really awesome, or had similar life experiences because they grew up with like an Asian parent as well. I can't wait to go back. Yeah, focus on those deep connections, because those things will fill you up. They fulfill you, because I think that's another thing that slow living helps us do, is find fulfillment in life. And next is how slow living brings joy. So for one, it reduces stress and burnout. And who doesn't want to reduce stress and anxiety and burnout? It protects your mental health and it improves your overall well-being. And yeah, like once I've embraced, because I used to have severe anxiety where it would stop me from doing so many things. Panic attacks while I'm driving, trying to rush from one place to the next. Not fun to have in the middle of driving. Our society is so unhealthy here in America. Like, we're just mentally and physically, we're unhealthy. And we keep doing things that add to our stress levels, and that pushes us to do more, and better. And, always have to be busy and always have to be doing things. And then we, don't have time to nourish our bodies, to move our bodies. We don't have time to nourish our brains and our souls. And I just think that slow living really, really emphasizes that, and really, really helps with that a lot. And it just really helps you savor life's moments. Like, how many times have you gone out to do something, but you're just busy, or you're just trying to rush through it to get to the next task, or you're on your phones, not really paying attention to what's going on, and you're not really cherishing the moment that you have, because who knows when, if that's your last one, that could be the last moment you have in your life. You don't know that. If you watch the last episode, you'll know about my story about how after having my third child, I hemorrhaged, and I was in the hospital, bleeding profusely, thinking I wasn't going to come out the other side. You don't know when your end is going to come. So we want to enjoy each moment that we have with our family and our friends. And then also, slow living aligns your actions with your values. And when you do that, you just feel so much joy. It just feels good when you do things, because your actions and your values are lined up. So oftentimes we have these values, but then our actions don't align with our values, and then we feel pretty shitty. Or we have these actions that seem very good, but then our values are out of whack, and that doesn't feel good either. So slow living really helps you pinpoint your values and how you can align your actions with those values. And it just encourages you to live a life that feels true and meaningful, and is not dictated by what society thinks your life should look like or feel like. So I hope you take small steps towards living a more intentional and slow-paced life, and then experiment with what slow living means to you, because what it means for me is going to be different for you. Like, we're all very different. We're all individuals, right? What works for me isn't going to always work for you. Just experiment and really see where your focus and your time goes, and see where you can adjust to fit your lifestyle, but also move at a slower pace that feels more meaningful for you. So if you want to kickstart your slow living journey, I do offer a 1 hour one-on-one session on Zoom. We can chit chat about how you can make changes in your life. And then that also includes like a week of Voxer support, so we can dive deeper there. So I'll leave a link down below. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, you subscribe, you leave a comment, you leave a review wherever you're viewing this or listening to this. Do all the things and share the love. Share with some friends and family as well. And I'll see you soon. Ciao.